والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد. To proceed, brothers and sisters in Islam, the importance of the heart cannot be understated, as Allah refers back to the heart again and again throughout the Quran to show us how powerful the heart is in the lives of humanity. The believer and the non-believers are alike, are controlled by their hearts. What the Quran says about heart and how do we purify our hearts according to the teaching of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are numerous ways to do this. Inshallah, we'll discuss some of them today. However, the number one method for softening our heart is to be in the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Doing any type of worship, reflection, and contemplating about the Creator and the signs of Allah in the creation. All of this will put your life into context and help you to soften the heart and become humble. The heart in the Quran is the most important of the human body, as it controls the action of every person. The Prophet ﷺ said in Hadith, ألا وإن في الجسد مضغة إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله ألا وهي القلب. Indeed, in the body there is a piece of flesh. If it is reformed, the whole body becomes good. And if it's spoiled, then the whole body becomes spoiled. Indeed, it is the heart. Sahih Bukhari. This shows, brothers and sisters, that our hearts are a crucial role in the body, more than just physical function of pumping the blood. It has spiritual function that affect the soul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drew attention in the Quran to show the type of the heart that exists. In many ways, there are more than 10 times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained about the heart. He gives different names of the heart. Qalbun munib, the heart which is clean, the heart which is a lot of explanation, more than 10 times. But today, inshallah, we're going to look at the ayahs of one ayah which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described these few types of the heart as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ. Then your hearts become hardened, after that being like a stone. أَوْ أَشَدُّ قَسْوَةً, or even harder than a stone. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draw the example. He says, وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْحِجَارَةِ لَمَا يَتَفَجَّرُ مِنْهُ الْأَنْهَارُ. After giving you the example of the heart being hardened like a stone, he tells you that the stone, some of the stones, وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْحِجَارَةِ لَمَا يَشَقَّقُ فَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ الْمَاءُ وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْحِجَارَةِ لَمَا يَتَفَجَّرُ مِنْهُ الْأَنْهَارُ. He says from the stone, there are rivers come from the stones. وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَشَقَّقُ فَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ الْمَاءُ. And from the stones from which rivers burst forth. وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَهْبِتُ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ. And there are some of them that split upon and brings waters, and there are some of them that fall down for the fear of Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ. And Allah is not aware, is not unaware of what you do. In these verses, brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draws parallel examples between the heart and the rocks. Allah demonstrates that the heart becomes in a different forms, just like stones do. Through this example, we learn that there is hope for the heart. Even if it has become hardened by sins, there is hope that it can be reformed and it can become soft and grow by purifying ourselves. So these types of hearts are mentioned in this ayah are into four, brothers and sisters. First one is the heart which gushes forth with the mercy and compassion. Second is the heart which is hard but has some mercy and compassion. Number three is the heart which falls into submission and prostration from the fear and worship of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And lastly is the hard heart which is empty of all mercy and compassion. And this is the heart we're just going to concentrate today, because the other three types of heart, they succeeded, or those people who are of those type of heart are succeeded. But this fourth type of the heart, which is hard, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned in the Quran, and He says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْقَاسِيَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ مِنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. So woe to those hearts are hardened against the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jalla. قال الشيخ السعدي رحمه الله وقال عز وجل أي لا تلين لكتابي. Or this hardened heart, it doesn't soften from the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jalla, from the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla. ولا تتذكر بآياته, and it doesn't reflect from the verses of Allah Azza wa Jalla. ولا تطمئن بذكره, and it doesn't contemplate and be softened from the dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jalla. In the above four types of heart, we see that the first three have some element of mercy and compassion. You can associate mercy and compassion to the soft and tender nature of the heart. But the fourth heart is completely empty of the mercy and compassion. That is dark and hardened heart. The fourth heart, the hardened heart, is that type that commits terrible crimes and it's merciless to its victims. This is the type of heart that is not affected when it sees the suffering torment of people. This type of heart, or this type of person, justifies why it is okay to see such suffering and torment in this world. As we see brothers and sisters today, to remember that our brothers and sisters in Palestine are suffering, you find there are some people, they are unaware of what's happening, or they're not even feeling of what's happening with our brothers and sisters over there. When you find yourself in that situation, then you need to ask yourself what sort of heart you got. Our brothers and sisters over there, they've got no one unless just themselves and Allah Azza wa Jalla. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is mentioning about the oppressed people, and be fearful of da'wat al-madlum, of the dua of the person who oppressed. فَإِنَّ دَعْوَةَ الْمَظْلُومِ لَيْسَ لَهَا حِجَابٌ. Indeed, the prayer of the person who oppressed, indeed, has no rejection from Allah Azza wa Jalla. No matter how powerful these people are, no matter how they will extend their oppression, by the time will come. As we all know from our Quran, where Ad and Thamud are here today. Where is Fir'aun? Where is Qarun? They're all gone, brothers and sisters. But for us, it's just to be humble our heart and to remember our brothers and sisters, especially in our dua, and to help in the best way we can do. عن الحارث المنصور قال سفيان الثوري رحمه الله يأتي على الناس زمان تموت فيه القلوب وتحيا الأبدان. Al-Harith al-Mansur reported, Sufyan al-Thawri, may Allah have mercy on him, said, a time will come to the people in which the hearts are dead even as their bodies are alive. These brothers and sisters, it shows that people of the Salaf, people before, they used to feel their heart living with their bodies. And they were fearful that the time will come when people's hearts are dead. They don't feel anything but their body is still alive. And Khutbah قال مالك بن دينار رحمه الله ما ضرب عبد بعقوبة أعظم من قسوة القلب وَمَا غَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَى قَوْمٍ إِلَّا نَزْعَ الرَّحْمَةَ مِنْ قُلُوبِهِمْ. Al-Qurtubi reported Malik ibn Dinar, may Allah have mercy on them. He said, a servant is not struck by a greater punishment than having a hard heart. Allah is not angry with the people, but that He removes mercy from their heart. One of the Bedouin came from Prophet ﷺ and he said to Prophet ﷺ, do you kiss your children? Do you kiss boys? And Prophet ﷺ, he said, yes. And he asked, how about you? He said, we don't do that. The Prophet ﷺ says, indeed, is that a mercy has been removed from your heart or what? That you will not be able to kiss your children. Just a very simple example of mercy that Prophet ﷺ showed to this Arabi. So brothers and sisters, let's explain how do we know my heart is hardened. ما هو القلب القاسي؟ القلب القاسي هو الذي لا يخضع للحق. A hardened heart is the one which doesn't accept the truth. ولا يخشى أمامه الذي تؤثر فيه النصيحة. And in front of him, it doesn't accept any advice. أو التحذير, or when the warning is coming to you, it doesn't accept. الذي لا تؤثر فيه المشاهد. When the issues like this happen in Palestine or whatever it is, and zilzal, it doesn't understand. The heart doesn't feel anything. And when oppressed peoples were, أو شق اليتيم, and where the yatim are having a problem, or miskin, أو الضعيف, or a person who is weak, فيتصرف أمامها كمن لم يرى ولم يسمع. This hardened heart, when these things are happening, you just feel like nothing happened. And he says, the signs of this hardened heart, brothers and sisters, يكون صاحبه أحط من البهائم ويكون مآله إلى جهنم. A person become like an animal. يأكلون كما تأكل الأنعام. They eat and drink as how the animals eat. They don't feel anything. And how do we know of our hearts being hard? Al-bu'd min Allah. First of all, that's the person stays away from Allah Azza wa Jalla. And tahrif al-kalma an mawadhihi. And every time when the signs, when evidence are brought in front of him, he trying to make excuses. النسيان المأمور وارتكاب المحظور. And he leave what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded, and he does opposite of that, ma'asi. And what's the reason? Asbab qaswat al-qalb. What's the reason? What are the asbab? I'm going to mention quite a few. There's a lot. Al-ikthar min al-kalami bi ghayri Allah. Talking too much of anything rather than a talk which remembered Allah Azza wa Jalla. Akl al-haram. Eating haram. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentioned himself, ثم ذكر الرجل يطيل السفر أشعث أغبر يمد يديه إلى السماء يا رب يا رب. He mentioned مشربه حرام ومطمعه حرام فأنا يستجاب له. He says a person, he is very rough, his food is haram, his drink is haram, even his clothing is haram. فأنا يستجاب له. How this person is going to be accepted by Allah Azza wa Jalla. فعل المعاصي. A person engaged in a ma'asi, he listens from why he's not supposed to listen, music and so on. Another إلى المحرم, he watches what is haram. كثرة الأكل, so many things, eating too much. This is from أسباب قسوة القلب. The person says how that eating too much is going to make my heart weak. The Prophet ﷺ says, نحن قوم لا نأكل حتى نجوع وإذا أكلنا لا نشبع. This is the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ says, we are the people, we don't eat except when we are hungry. and we wait till we hand them eat. And with akalna la nashba. And when we eat, we don't make ourselves full that we can't even stand up. طول الأمل ونسيان الموت. We forget death and we think that we're going to live forever. التهاون في أداء الصلاة. We make it easy when we want to pray. And عدم الخشوع في الصلاة. And we don't have khushu, contemplating on the salat, and we don't even feel the sweetness of salat. We come to salat and we go as if we didn't pray. These are some of the signs which makes our heart soften, which make our heart hard, as I said. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم والبر الكريم. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. It's upon everybody to look on his heart and be accountable. How does he feel on his heart? And what the solution for him to soften his heart? علاج قسوة القلب. How are we going to purify, or how are we going to have a solution for our hardness of the heart? I'm going to mention a few things because we don't have much time. First of all, al-iqbal ala Allah wa tilawat kitab al-aziz wa tadabbur is to go back to Allah Azza Jalla and to read the book of Allah Azza Jalla. We don't want to be those who have forgotten the book of Allah Azza Jalla. As Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وقال الرسول إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن محجورا. Indeed, my people made this Quran as if they've forgotten the book of Allah Azza Jalla. Second of all, we have to learn the Shara' min Quran and Sunnah. We have to learn the hukm of our deen. And also we have to be with the Salihin. We make sure we accompany those people who are good people. And we have to listen to mawa'idah. We have to listen to the lectures. What tadkir, when you hold your phone, not just TikTok, YouTube and so on. Just make as well the time that to listen to the mawa'idah. And we have to look upon and ponder upon the creation of Allah Azza Jalla. And again, we have to look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished those who oppressed before, and He's going to punish who are oppressing today. Tadhakkur al-maut wal-mauta. You have to remember those who passed away, and you remember the death as well. Ziyarat al-marda. You have to go and visit those who are sick, and you have to help their team. You have to remember Qiyamul Layl, to stand up on the night and do the prayer. And tawadu wa husnul khulq, and make sure you are humble and you have good character. Al-ikthar min ada'i nawafil, to do many of the sunnah. Al-kasb al-halal, and all of the way you're doing that, make sure that you take from the halal income. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to finish, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ وَلَا يَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلُ فَطَالَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْأَمَدُ فَقَسَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَكَثِيرٌ مِنْهُمْ فَاسِقُونَ. Surah Al-Hadid, ayah number 16, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Is the time not come for those who have believed that their hearts should become humble, submissive at the remembrance of Allah Azza Jalla and what has come down of the truth. And let them not like those who were given the scriptures before, and a long period passed over them, so their hearts hardened, and many of them are definitely disobedient." May Allah accept and make sure and help our hearts to be softened, so that we can see what's coming around, so that we can attain what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do. We ask Allah at this time to help those who are oppressed in Palestine, and those who are suffering from zalzal from Afghanistan, those who are suffering from Libya, from the effect of floods, and those who have earthquakes problem at Morocco and everywhere in the world. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين. اللهم من أراد للإسلام والمسلمين سوءا فخذه أخذ عزيز مقتدر يا رب العالمين. اللهم هلك اليهود ورد مكارههم يا رب العالمين. أنت أرحم الراحمين. وانصر إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين. اللهم انصر فلسطين. اللهم انصر فلسطين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.